This is June the 8th, 2024. Woman, thou art God. The new religion for women. This book is available on all internet venues. It is global. My original publisher is Lulu, Lulu. Why do we need a new religion? Why do we need it? Don't they already have it all covered? I mean, we've got Catholicism, we've got Muslims, we've got Jews, we've got Wiccans, we've got Trinity, WTN. Well, okay, Wiccan is not part of that, not part of what I'm going to say. Why? What do all these have in common, the ones I've mentioned other than Wicca? Zoroasters, Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses. What else is out there? We need a new religion because all the religions mentioned, the major religions or the big well-known religions, are all patriarchal. What does it mean, patriarchal? Nobody, it's not even on the table. The discussion regarding matriarchy versus patriarchy is not even on the table. The patriarchs won't permit it to be on the table in the way that the Catholic Church will not permit a discussion, not even a discussion, of women being ordained priests or deacons within the Catholic Church. They won't even permit it on the table. And so patriarchs don't allow it on the table in the media, in the mainstream media, not on television, not on radio, not in magazines, nowhere. Because it is dangerous. Patriarchy is rule of the father. Pater is father. Mater is mother. Matriarchy is rule of the mother. And it is so dangerous to the father men rulers that they don't even want it discussed, as if there is no occasion to discuss it. There's no reason to discuss it. It's the way it is, and that is all there is, period. No discussion. It's our way or the highway. That's what they're thinking. So you can't even bring it up. So that's why it sounds odd when I talk about it constantly. It's unusual. Now, the reason we need a new religion for women, a new religion, is aimed at women, aimed and targeted and introduced to women for women. But men can also believe in it. And I do have men who do believe in it. William Bond, Pete Jackson, Steve Andrews, Bart of Eli, he's called. There are others. I have disciples in India. I have a new disciple in China. They believe in it. They believe in it. I have many testimonies on my website, Woman Thou Art God. There is a website. It doesn't give you the new religion, the website, Woman Thou Art God. It was done in 2004 to 2006. It has 6,000 pages of information about female superiority, matriarchy, female issues, religious issues, female social issues, female power, why women are superior to men, in what ways, how women are advancing above men, how the future belongs to women, and so on. 6,000 pages of information. It also gives information how to build a church in your home, and about my disciples and testimonies of my spiritual disciples who met me on the internet and who give testimony of supernatural events that occurred when they prayed to me as their guru. Prayed as their guru, the way you would pray to a saint or a incarnation or a representative of God. Mother God inspired me to, and really, believe me, it took me kicking and screaming because it wasn't easy. Told me, start writing on the new religion. Wow, Mother God, what do I write? Just start writing, and I'll give you the words. So here's some of the chapters. 1. No other God before you. 2. Maintain your integrity. 3. A new religion which teaches women to worship the God within. 4. Woman, thou art God. It behooves you to have a realm on earth. 5. The good of being alone. 6. Clear your vision. 7. Reclaim your territory. 8. Principles of the new religion. 9. How women are demoralized within patriarchy. 10. The need to get away from people. 11. Becoming God, leaving God, returning. 12. All people should worship the female as icon of God, not the male. 13 is a lucky 13. 14. Why women need their own religion. 15. Sexual dysfunction arise from patriarchal practices, aka how patriarchy hurts children. 16. Healing men. 17. Dealing with demonics. Some men you cannot save. You couldn't save Hitler, could you? Stalin? Pol Pot? Mussolini? Some people could name some contemporaries. Well, I'm not going to do that. 18. Policies regarding men and their religions, channeling Mother God. 19. Start where you are. 20. The male gods could not stop patriarchy. It had to be a female god. 21. Why this religion is needed right now. 22. Wounds of women. 23. How do we find the God within, and where did we lose her? 24. The power of prayer. 25. What profit a woman? 26. How sexual liberation helps create a matriarchal society. 27. Ego banishment, or getting past the ego. 28. Male masochism. 29. She-bear. Women must take over the world. 30. There is no back door to matriarchy. 31. Why sex has to be expensive and hard to get for men from women under patriarchy. 33. The feminine one. 34. Non-duality. Advaita. The one. Advaita is spelled Advaita. It's another word, it's the Sanskrit word for non-duality, which is famous in yoga. 35. The last matriarchal age. 36. Men are submissive. 37. How do women connect to the one? Meaning one God, the one eternal, infinite eternal. 38. The golden age. 39. Power of the one. I think those last three are all from William Bond. 40. And this is from William Bond too. The sacrifice of Jesus. And the next one is from Pete Jackson. The three biggest casualties of gender war. 42. Anti-rape porn. 43. The secret to my happiness. 44. Heaven on earth. 45, psychopath patriarchal leaders. 46, Underground Railroad. 47, war is a racket. And war is the foundation of patriarchy, isn't it? You shall not put any gods before thee. Woman, do not worship a god created by men in the agenda, in the image of men. You must believe that the Spirit of God dwells within you. And so put God into a feminine icon. You will hear God, the God within you, speaking to you in the still small voice, not the outside voices of men. Men priests, men ministers, any kind of men, your husband, your brother, any kind of men. God created woman, and woman created the male. Once you were the only human. You have the power of parthenogenesis. You created the male as a helpmate. For eons the male behaved properly, then recently went astray. Recently means several thousand years ago. In evolutionary terms, thousands of years are not long. Millions of years are a good distance or space for, you know, I mean, we're talking an infinite universe here. You are the leader, woman. Have faith, trust, and confidence in yourself and matriarchal sisters. Yes, there were many matriarchal sisters, starting with Emmeline Pankhurst and her daughters and her associates, and then came Betty Friedan and all the women with her, and Gloria Steinem and all the women with her. Many, there were many, are many, were, are. Woman, there was a war. In heaven, they called it. This means spiritual warfare. Lucifer rejected Mother God, wanted to be like her and have her prerogatives, privileges, and created God in his image and likeness. A one-third of the angels in heaven, one-third of men, went with him. This Lucifer is the Satan of this world, otherwise called patriarchy, and the spiritual realm without a mask. This Satan, this spirit, waged war on women, as women are the creators and bearers of children and have charge of them. He, they, men, coveted this privilege. He waged war through the men, as mentioned above, those men who love Satan, sin, who are demonic. He waged war on women to exploit them, their children, and other men. Satan and patriarchs have no light, no mercy, no hope, no love. They are pure evil, solid darkness, with no hope of redemption. Women and others then become the prisoners of the war with Satan, called the gender war. Not their souls necessarily, but certainly their bodies become chained, imprisoned, and fettered by the patriarchs, their unjust rulership. Many of these women have suffered but did not sin. They retained love, light, and goodness. Some of these women have sinned and given their children over to Satan. Men sacrifice their own children or the children under their care. These women who became demonic will suffer the same fate as the demonic men. Mother, God is not mean. They asked for it. It was their decision, just as it was Lucifer's in the beginning. Woman, this is important. As a prisoner of war, it is your duty to try to escape in any way you can to save yourself and the children of this world. But Mother God does not ask you to put yourself or your loved ones in harm's way. She does not ask you to forfeit your financial security, your physical, emotional, and mental safety. She does not ask you to do things so overt against the enemy that you will be persecuted, injured, or killed. If you are a prisoner of war in a prisoner of war camp, you must work in secret to escape. You cannot challenge those who have guns and hate and have to keep your plans silent. The important part of this religion is that you begin to understand and believe and worship Mother God, the God within you. Begin praying to her and no other God. Allow her to empower you from within. Pass this belief and practice to your girl children and any female who will listen. Understand, and boy, it could be boy children too. Understanding that if any of these women has males who dominate them, they will be barred. Now, as I said, keep your religion secret, but this has to have exceptions. Truth must be preached, and in order to be known, the majority of females are not anointed or empowered to fight Goliath, the male establishment. They cannot do it for fear. It is impossible for them. The brothers of little David who fought Goliath were physically big but spiritually small. They were not anointed. To be an apostle of Mother God, you must be anointed, empowered by the Spirit to proclaim her doctrine. But this is not for everyone. But there have to be women who are empowered, and through the ages they have come forward and battled not of their own strength, but the power of Almighty God. Indeed, like David, they killed a lion and a bear with their slingshots. They took those steps forward to prove they deserved an anointing. They did not wait for God to anoint them before doing anything. But after being anointed, they were unstoppable. For the rest of you, keep quiet when it behooves you to stay safe, but keep the prayers and the study of this religion active. So, friends, that is a small part, and we shall go at other times. Peace be with you. Worship women, worship the God within you. Men, venerate women, look up to them. I know a lot of them are crazy, but patriarchy has driven men crazy. But at least most women are not violent and demonic like many men are. There's a big difference, and they always point out to me, oh, women are as evil as men. No, they are not. If you watch the crime shows, and they do feature women as much as they can, they look everywhere and anywhere in the alleys, the byways, the nooks and crannies to find the women criminals. Oh, yes, the women murderers, the women criminals, they're there. But percentage wise, they're very few. 98% or more of the people in jail in America are men. Why? And what percent of murderers are men? The majority. The majority of murderers are men. What is the majority of child abusers, molesters, and rapists? Men, not women. Women are generally not rapists of anyone. Women take care of children, most of them. There are abusers. My mother was an abuser, not a sexual abuser, but a mental, emotional abuser. I suffered at her hands. My father was the kind, loving, merciful one. He taught me what love was from the time I was born up until he abandoned me when I was about 10 years old. I became aware that he had abandoned me. Prior to that, I thought he was going to still be within our family. And at the age of 10, I realized he was no longer going to be part of our family. I begged to live with him, and he refused. So he abandoned me. So that was the greatest heartbreak of my life, and it affected me lifelong. My mother, he left me to be abused mentally and emotionally by her. I was a slave of the household, and I did all the work I could do every day. I was not allowed privileges, or I was not allowed to work or have privileges, work outside the home for money, except for a little while I was 15. And then after that, when I got jobs, my mother would find out where and would call them up and get me fired because I was underage. So she had that authority to get me fired. And she got me fired from every job that I got that she found out about because she wanted to disempower me. She was an abuser of me, an abuser of animals, and an abuser of other people. But enough on that. There are exceptions. There are evil women and good men. My father was basically good. He wasn't perfect. He was a saint, but a little saint, not a big saint. But he is in heaven in a much higher place than my mom. Quite a bit higher. I'm not sure how much higher, but higher. The measurement is kind of rough to figure out how much higher. There's all kinds out there, but the majority of the wicked, the demonic, are the men. The Satan has got hold of the men. Not all the men, of course, but like in the myth of the angels, how Lucifer fell from heaven and it said he took a third of the angels with him. I believe that's a myth that has to do with the males departing from Mother God and veneration of women and respect of women, and when they fell into the id, the lower self, from whence, in my opinion, demons arise from the lower self. And they created the first demons through their hate and anger and sin. They did. Satan did not come from another world, from the angelic realm, in my opinion. That's my opinion. You don't have to believe it. That's my opinion as a guru. Maybe my disciples might believe me. But whether you believe it or not, I believe it. So I am hoping to start this new religion and a new order for women, single women who want to be in a religious order, and women who are mothers, women and their children. I want to start this order. I want to provide housing, a temple, a place to raise your children. Places, not one place, but eventually many places. We will have many branches, many temples, many long houses. We might start with trailers. We might start with an apartment building. We might start with a hotel. I don't know how we're going to start, but I hope before I die to start and use the money that I have as seed money. Seed money to start the order. Men are permitted to help us. I have two men that help me constantly, William Bond and Ajax the Great, aka Pete Jackson. They help me constantly, especially Pete Jackson. And they will be prevented, men in general, they will be prevented from entering the temple and entering the private premises where women live. Like it's like a convent, except women will be sexually free. They will not be deprived of men or male companionship or gatherings with men, but men are not allowed into the order. The order is a convent for women and their children, single women and women with children. We are their family, and this is especially for women who get no help from their family or from a man. This is the where I was when I was growing up. Well, I was 17 when I got involved with a man, had a child. My family did not help me. He died. He disinherited me. He canceled his life insurance to leave me penniless. Yes, we got Social Security, survivors benefits, but that was not enough to live off. It was not. And I worked. And when I worked, I did not get all of the Social Security benefits. I only got half of them. But I worked. I worked and worked as a dancer and as a model. And I got no help. In fact, I'm not going to get into some of the things my family did to me. I'm just not going to go there right now. It's just too pitiful and pathetic and sad. So let's skip it for now. So I want to help women who are in need of help. But, and it's a big but, they believe in our religion. They're not brainwashed, or they're willing to give up some of the, at least some of the brainwash of the patriarchal churches that they might have been in the past, and they have to be rebaptized in the name of the Mother, the Creation, and the Holy Spirit. Mother, Creation, Holy Spirit. No big deal. It's not going to bring you to any evil. You know, you can be baptized many times. It's just simply giving your pledge to God in this way or that way, and maybe you are born again already. So you don't really need to be born again, but it won't hurt to get baptized in that way that I just said. It won't hurt. And also we say the Our Mother who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. We think differently. We we think differently. We think the way Jesus thought, but we, in some areas, we read between the lines. Like, I don't believe Jesus condemned sex. And I agree that Sri Kaleshwar might be right. This is a Hindu saint. He's passed away, but he's a Hindu saint. SRI, Shri means sir. Kaleshwar, Kaleshwar. Shri Kaleshwar. He was a miracle man who worked with Shirdi Sai Baba. Shirdi Sai Baba had been appearing to him since he was a child, even in a physical form, appeared to him in a physical form. And both of them appeared to me and married me. One at a time, of course, it was no group marriage. And they blessed me and empowered me and anointed me. And I heard about Sri Kaleshwar from Alex Utterman, ALX Utterman, a lady, a beautiful blonde lady, very beautiful, very, still young. She had been his disciple in India for a few years, and she gave her testimony on the Alex Ferrari show, ALEX Ferrari show, Next Level Soul, Next Level Soul podcast. She gave her testimony. And then I looked her up and I listened to a few of her videos. She said that Sri Kaleshwar said that Jesus had sex with more than one woman. I don't remember what Sri Kaleshwar said about whether he was married to Mary Magdalene, but he said that more than one woman said to Jesus, "Bless my flower. Bless my flower," which you figure it out. And he had sex with them, and they had children. So Jesus had children. None of them became, great saints or miracle workers, but he had children. And do you believe this or not believe it? It's up to you. Now, do I believe it? I believe it could be true. How do I know he didn't? Just because the disciples, apostles, never mentioned his sex life, his married life, his private life, as if he had none. They act as if he had no private life. Jesus was a celebrity as great as any movie star today. Imagine Clark Gable walking around the streets doing miracles, and all the women want him. They didn't just want him for miracles and healings, they wanted him for sex. And if he obliged them, so what? See, in our religion, this new religion, sex is irrelevant, except when it comes to abuse and rape. Sex is irrelevant. We don't believe in the masturbation, fornication, adultery are automatically sins. Masturbation and fornication are. Masturbation is probably never a sin unless you expose yourself where you shouldn't. Then it would be wrong, like exposing yourself to someone you shouldn't. But fornication is usually probably not a sin in our religion, and adultery is probably not a sin unless in some occasions it might be. So it's between you and God. And we will not restrict our nuns. I'm going to call them nuns just for want of a better word, but they're members, the females within our order. Our nuns, our sisters. Maybe I should say sisters, because nuns sounds like none of this and none of that, and restriction and repression and uh, beating them over the head with every little transaction. Like some of these convents tell you, never spread your legs more than 6 inches apart when you walk or when you stand. And the sisters would report each other, oh, Mary Beth stood with her feet and she walked and she ran and her legs were more than 6 inches apart. Crap like that. And they are regimented in some convents. Like if you look at Story of a Nun with who's that lady? My Fair Lady, my Fair Lady, that actress. What's her name? The beautiful, beautiful My Fair Lady. I can't think of her name. Well, she was in the Nun Story. So you look that up, and you'll see some of the crap that nuns do in a convent, and the way they imprison the mentally ill, supposedly taking care of them, the way they lock them into these bathtubs. They lock them in, and they can only move their feet, and they lock them in there for hours, and then at night they lock them into small cells. They are sadists, and they're sadistic to nuns, and they're sadistic to the people they're in charge of, which they get paid for. Paid for. And this is how they control them. And this is how they control the nuns. You have to walk a certain way through the hallways, like the way they have prisoners walk a certain way to their cell or to the mess hall or to the cafeteria or whatever. They have them walk a certain way, and so they do the same to nuns. It's all about control. So we will be nothing like, I'm not saying we don't want order. We want order. But we're not going to belittle, demoralize, repress. We will have rules. We'll have rules. But our rules will be a lot different. A lot different. Okay, so now let's close for the day on this, and we'll continue next time. Peace be with you. Go in peace to love and serve Jesus, Mary, and the God within you. Amen. See you next time.